Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today I've got the LEGO Marvel Character Encyclopedia, and as you can see, I've made lots of tabs and notes on it. This retails for $21.99 here in the US, and you get an exclusive Sam Wilson Captain America minifigure. Now, there was a LEGO Marvel Encyclopedia that came out last year that had tons and tons of things wrong with it and errors, and unfortunately, this book is no exception, although I do think it does a much better job than last year's. That being said, there's a little pocket you lift up here where you get the Sam Wilson minifig. We'll take a quick look at that. As you can see, it's super detailed with dual molded legs, toe printing, leg printing for those really cool, kneecap pieces there. And then, of course, hip printing as well. It's a really, really great figure all around. And honestly, I think that this is worth the price of admission alone. This is our second ever comic book style Sam Wilson cap. The other one was a Comic-Con exclusive. So for all of those reasons, I do think that this is a really good figure. And if for no other reason, the book is worth picking up for him alone, especially on sale. Now, as we open the book, something interesting, we see this War Machine figure here, but he never pops up again in the book anywhere else. Right off the bat, you can see that we've got a table of contents here. Kevin Feige is referenced here, but he's never referenced again. Then as we get into it, Chapter 1 is all about Spider-Man. Now, I'm not going to stop on every single page, of course. I'll allow you to pause the video if you'd like that, but I have made some notes and things like that of just some inconsistencies or weird things. Like, for example, on the Tobey Spider-Man, it says webbing details in titanium. There's not titanium on his suit. If that's the color they mean, sure. It's just a very weird way to word something like that. So, that being said, I do want to give my overall view on the book. I do think that it's a really good introduction to LEGO Marvel in general, and it really is a good refresher on all these characters after all these years. Something that we'll see here, not every single tab is something bad. Sometimes I'm just pointing something out. Like, for example, in the Vulture, we get a mention of the Tinkerer, who has not appeared in minifig form yet, but it is cool to see him referenced. You never know what can happen down the line. That being said, we do see so many different variants of characters, and one thing, like, for example, there's been multiple versions of Mysterio, both comic book based and an alternate MCU version, but basically every character, but I believe every single character gets mentioned except for Deadpool. Spoiler alert. Other than that, I think every character that's existed in LEGO Marvel that isn't just like a generic, firefighter or something like that, every named character does get referenced at some point. Just some of them are more, accurate than others. Something here with Doc Ock. I thought it was funny that it says he dislikes complaining. I just thought that was funny. And of course, we get that inaccurate gray here because that's what the figure had. But yeah. Anyways, as we move on, for Lizard here, kind of interesting. It says that he appeared for the first time in 2013 back in the LEGO Marvel video game. Thought that was pretty unique. But yeah. I thought it was funny. It also says he likes turning people into lizards. It's accurate, but some of these are really funny. Now, an overview like this, we get a variants gallery for Spider-Man. We don't get anything like this for Thor, Captain America, War Machine, all of these other characters that have tons and tons of variants. It would have been cool to get pages like this. Also, this is far from every single Spider-Man suit ever, but it is nice to see the 2013 Andrew Garfield figure referenced there. As of this video, I think he's worth like $15,000, which is just absolutely bonkers. Something funny here on the Aunt May page, it says she's friends with Otto Octavius, obviously referencing in the comics when they've dated and even gotten married on and off. I thought that this was weird. For Ron Barney, it says first minifigure with this hair element. Well, that's definitely not true. That hair element's been around since like the 80s, so that's not true. And I don't even know if this is the first time it was used in LEGO Marvel. I'd find that hard to believe, but maybe. But even so, it should clarify that and say it. Anyways, I just like pointing out some things. And some of the things I'll point out are like grammatical errors that could have been, caught during editing. But if you want to pause this at any point, you certainly can to read the pages. Here, it says something kind of interesting. The pig-shaped headpiece was created for Spider-Ham and has been used for just one other minifigure, Pork Rind, a venomized version of Spider-Ham. Well, there's two things wrong with that. First off, Pork Rind is not Spider-Ham. He's a completely separate character. And second off, it's actually been used on the snowman of Spider-Ham from the Advent calendar. So it has been used in 3 places, and that Pork Rind fact just isn't even true. So, yeah. But like I said, if you want to pause and read any of the pages, you certainly can. I pointed out a tab here that also, the whole thing about Pork Rind not being Spider-Ham, he's his own character. Definitely worth pointing out. I did think this was cool. On the Spider-Woman page, it does point out that this one is a Comic-Con exclusive from 2013, and that there were only 350 copies ever made. That has largely been speculated. I've heard some people say 325, but it is nice to see official confirmation, if you will. So, yeah. For Carnage here, I thought it was interesting. They don't mention anything about Cletus Cassidy or his alter ego, just because I don't think that they want to reference him, if they can help it, being that he's a maniacal serial killer. Something here for Sandman, I thought it was interesting. They used the William Baker name instead of Flint Marko. Flint Marko is an alias that William Baker goes by, but most people know him as Flint Marko, so I thought that that was pretty interesting. That being said, it says a nice little Easter egg, perhaps, here. Sorcerer and tech genius Dr. Doom makes his only LEGO appearance so far when he attacks the Daily Bugle, blah, blah, blah. So, we're more than likely going to get him in a Fantastic Four set someday, just because he's their main villain. And if not that, definitely in the Avengers Doomsday set. So I like that it's kind of setting up for that. Because eventually, we got to get another LEGO Dr. Doom. But lots of good stuff here as far as, character details and stuff. Oh, yeah. For Ghost Rider here, it says he made a scary deal with Mephisto, or more specifically, he made a deal with Scary Mephisto. First off, LEGO Mephisto confirmed. And second off, I like that they didn't mention what that deal was. Of course, they're trying to keep this relatively family-friendly, and some of the Marvel Comics lore just goes off the rails. For Iron Man here, this was interesting. Obviously, we get a breakdown of, his main suit here from the Avengers Quinjet and Tony Stark. But then when we turn the page, we get detailed looks at these two specific Iron Man armors. Interestingly, obviously this one talking about the scuba suit and everything, and this one being the zero-gravity space suit. But then here we get an Iron Man's armor suit gallery. This isn't even close to every Iron Man armor ever. In fact, I don't know that, with the exception of the Toy Fair Iron Man, well, I was going to say it doesn't reference any comic book ones. These ones are actually all comic book armors. These ones are all MCU, but it leaves a lot out. One other thing I want to note is that there's no mention anywhere of Mighty Micros figures at all, but they are kind of alluded to in certain places. But what I'm getting at here is, we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages dedicated to probably about a third of the Iron Man armors, but Captain America gets 1 page, arguably 2 if you count Steve Rogers as his own. Then, of course, alternate Zombie Cap, whatever. But there's so many other ones like Scuba Cap, Space Cap, Endgame Cap. So many different armors that don't get, shouted out at all. And, of course, we get Sam Wilson here with the CMF, so that's good. As we turn the page, we get to see War Machine here. I thought this one was interesting. It's referencing this War Machine from 242213, which is actually one of the, foil bags from Europe rather than, a set. So I thought that was an interesting reference. Probably go over a lot of people's heads that don't know the number codes or things like that. But lots of good stuff here. Once again, with Thor, we get all of those variants, Love and Thunder, Ragnarok, all the different comic book versions. But nope, Thor just gets 1 page and kind of a semi-shout-out to, Stormbreaker here. Of course, we get Jane Foster on the opposite page, Hulk and Bruce Banner. This one's flat out wrong. United by their genius minds, Bruce Banner and Tony Stark become friends. Stark eventually builds the Hulkbuster suit, which helps Banner control his rage. Next to a picture of Banner in the Hulkbuster suit. That's just super misleading and obviously not true to what we see in the movies, so got to point that out. For Black Widow here, thought that this was interesting, that, it's using the most recent Age of Ultron suit, which works pretty well. But we do have a very, very wrong thing here. One of Black Widow's many skills is being an ace motorcycle driver, which is true, as proven during a speedy chase after Ultron's soldiers. No, they are Baron von Strucker's Hydra soldiers. Ultron isn't even in existence when this scene takes place in the movie. Come on, what are we doing here? Okay, we've got Falcon here, Vision, love that Vision figure, so cool. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I noticed there's a mark on her chin. I don't know if that's a mark in the printing of my book or if the figure they used for that photo was wrong, but that caught my eye when I was looking through it. Yeah, so got Black Panther here. I can't remember why I put a tab pointing to this. Yeah, I don't know. Couldn't have been too crazy if it's not jumping out at me immediately, but hey, Black Panther, and I used a purple tab. Must have been subconscious. Okay, there's a lot wrong with Ant-Man here, and of course I would notice this because he's my favorite MCU hero, assuming Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man doesn't count. So, here it says he dislikes rats. Wouldn't you think he'd love rats because the rat is what saved him from the quantum realm? Not that he knows that. I don't think he knows that, but why would he hate rats? He would be stuck in the quantum realm forever if that rat didn't step on the button. So there's that. Then here it says, Ant-Man shrinks even smaller than anyone has ever done before, eventually ending up in the quantum realm. Well, that part's true, but then it says, he explores this dangerous place in an insectoid quantum vehicle. Well, Scott Lang's Ant-Man never gets in this vehicle, as far as Ant-Man and the Wasp is concerned, so that's not true at all. Then for the Wasp, it says her helmet links the Wasp's thoughts to her suit's, let me start that over. Helmet links the Wasp's thoughts to suit's shrinking function. That's not true at all. She has buttons just like Ant-Man in the movie. That is not true at all. So that is literally just a completely made up fact. Got some Doctor Strange pages here with strange variants. Star-Lord, now this is weird. Ace Helmet, 3 earlier versions of Star-Lord's minifigure, including this one from 2014, came with a space helmet which allowed Star-Lord to breathe in alien environments. Well, that's not 100% true, because when it says Star-Lord minifigure, we're of course referring to Peter Quill here, so there's this version from 2014, the 2017 Guardians 2 version, and then there's the Mighty Micros version, but that is printed onto the head, it's not its own unique piece. And then we did get a helmet again for Star-Lord T'Challa, but that's not the same Star-Lord that's being referenced here. So I just don't like when they kind of gloss over a random fact like that and don't actually tell you, what it's supposed to mean, or, I don't know. I just think that they could be a lot more clear in describing things. That being said, all of these pages were okay. Lots of fun facts. Once again, you could just pause and read them if you want. But yeah. Cool to see Ultron referenced here. I actually think that this is the only Ultron reference we get here other than Mark 1, which will be coming up shortly. But, all the Ultron Sentries, Ultimate Ultron, Ultron Prime, no reference on any of those. Here with Trevor Slattery, the Mandarin, it talks about, here the actor records yet another fake video for the press. Well, first off, he doesn't have a video camera there, so he's not recording anything. Second off, none of that is true because the Mandarin's not even in that scene. So, it's kind of weird. Anyways. Yeah, here's our Ultron reference. Oh, I guess it does reference the Ultron Sentry bots there, but we don't get any reference to any other Ultron. Any of his main versions or anything like that. Nice to see Comic-Con Collector here. I think it would have been nice if they just did a page of every Comic-Con exclusive. Like, for example, there's no reference to the Miles Comic-Con exclusive. Deadpool isn't referenced anywhere in this book. So a lot of them do get referenced, but, Jean Grey could have been referenced. A lot of stuff just kind of got left on the table, and I think that would have been cool had they included stuff like that, but it is what it is. Anyways, for the most part, all of these pages were pretty good and factually correct. Love that Big Fig. Man, that was so good. Love that. Can't believe we got that unique headpiece for Killmonger. So yeah, as we're flipping through the book, I do like that pretty much everybody is referenced in one way or another. We don't get to see every single suit from every single character, and for some figures, I get why that's the case. I'm also realizing that the Iron Legion are nowhere in this book. I'm looking over at my minifigure wall as I'm turning the pages here, realizing there were plenty of characters that aren't referenced at all. There's very few 2024 figures referenced here, and I get that, like, with printing times and things like that, they had to cut it off at some point, but being that this is coming out at the end of 2024, couldn't we have gotten the January wave? Well, there are a couple January wave figures in here. I don't know. I think I'm just going a little crazy here, because there were some, like Ronin a couple pages back, so that's not a super fair criticism. But there's a lot of 2024 stuff that is left out here, so I don't know. I get that there has to be a cutoff at some point. Anyways, getting toward the end here. It is insane that you'll see what the last pages are. It's absolutely crazy. This is wrong. It says, in 2024, the minifigure is the first to be based off of X-Men 97. That's not true. The CMF version from 2023 was the first. Plus, we got Beast and Storm, neither of which are referenced here. This would have been the perfect place to put Deadpool, but for some reason, LEGO Marvel is just completely glossing over Deadpool and just not including him in any of the history, which is so wrong. Here we have Red Guardian, and this confirms that that set was supposed to be released during Comic-Con 2020, but we get a reference to COVID-19 there, which is kind of interesting. Then we'll just keep going through. Everything here, like I said, checks out, looks pretty good. All great minifigs from the past couple years. And if you want to pause and read anything, you certainly can. Yeah, this is cool that this points out that this head shares an expression with Monica, but technically, since there's only one face printed here, that head is exclusive to this set, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, the final pages are dedicated to all of the Eternals. How wild is that? Absolutely crazy. So, as we're coming up on the end here, I am looking over at my minifig wall, and I'm realizing, you know, there are some figures like Comic Book Electro that aren't referenced, but because we get a reference to regular Electro, they consider that covered. So, I don't know. It's not a bad book. I do think it's a pretty good read. A lot of characters are referenced, like, in passing. Like, for example, on the page referencing the Hydra Troopers, it does reference, like, the comic book ones, even though it doesn't show them. So, I don't know. I'd be really fascinated to know, like, what the publication process of something like this is like, right? Like, you know, at what point can they not include any new figures? How do you decide to only show one Hulk when there's literally been, like, 10 different Hulks to show? I don't know. It would be really fascinating to learn more, but all I can do is judge what's in front of me. So I do think that this is a worthy pickup. It is definitely more accurate than last year's LEGO Marvel book, so I definitely like that a lot more. And I can't recommend it enough because I think that this minifigure is really, really good. But at the same time, you know, I would wait for a sale. I don't think that you have to rush out and get this, or maybe put it on a Christmas list or birthday or something like that. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.